I'm going to read a couple lines from this poem. Dried maple and ash bark, lush emerald flats, the fall-colored arena hark, the wide superior mats. At the valley's peak, encircled my life, the open space speaks. Let me end the strife.
What's up, guys? Happy Wednesday. Glad to see you here. I've got Castillo with me. Castillo.
What's up, guys? How's it going?
All right, audio's all good. So we want to start off the stream. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff, lead into Crypto Fight Night a little bit. That's this Saturday. Part of that reason is Coincatch is becoming a sponsor. And I know Castillo's going to the event. Unfortunately, I can't. I have a priority I have to take care of on Saturday. But the next one I think they're going to have in the States, hopefully. So I will be there if any of you guys are there. Would love to meet you. But yeah, first things first, let's talk about this bot. We brought it up last live stream. Got a lot of interest from you guys. I've had a lot of DMs and stuff. I think I had this data pulled up last time I walked through like the month to month and like what Castillo and I are working on. And one of the things that Castillo and I were just discussing, and I even brought it up last live stream, is implementing like kill switches like today, right, where you have the FOMC rate decision. And ultimately, guys, when the market does something like you go to the 1 hour and it does something like this, like how do you trade that, right? Like how does a bot determine what's going to happen? Or the whole idea is just like set a risk parameter in place so that way like nothing, you don't lose. It's just a kill switch. That way for today, it's just bots off, right? That way, and I bring that up because today it's down almost 3%, right? Still up 4.6% on the month, but it's down 3%. So again, in my opinion, a kill switch for that just completely negates any opportunity to lose out or like give back gains. I don't know what your thoughts are, Castillo, but if you want to talk about the bot, you know a little bit more than I do. And by the way, guys, Castillo is one of the guys that kind of brought me in and really got me involved on this project.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, something like a kill switch is obviously good. The problem with it is when, it's just really this choppy action, right? I mean, really since what happened, I think the drop on like the 7th, right? So been a couple of days of just kind of like downside, and then today with the, 3 to 4% move to the upside. I just feel like, regardless if there's a kill switch or not, these are just those conditions that you kind of just have to like muster through. Just because it could be a drop 3% today, and then recovery the next day it's up 6%, 4%. I think that the bots, really for them to just continue working, right? Like you don't have to. I think sometimes adding a kill switch can kind of overcomplicate things a little more than just like what the natural progression could be, because some of the bots that are the options that we have been performing really really fucking well, right? So it's hard to kind of like get in and change that a little bit. But it's just the type of environment. Really, we've been kind of going sideways on BTC since what, March,
Yeah, March.
the beginning of March. So we've just been in kind of like a sideways channel that really, in my opinion, has really been crushing a lot of people. And I mean crushing a lot of people because people are just over trading it, mistrading it, round tripping their entries that are good entries, not taking profits and that sort of thing. But yeah, man, I feel like the options that we have with integrating the bot into copy trading are rather good. Not only that, but we get to pick a couple of the bots to kind of do the trading for us, right? So the 3% downside days are like that are going to happen. I've gotten involved with bots in the past that have given away with really no risk, right? So over 3 to 4 weeks, it's performed exponentially well, but then a day like today happens and it gives away all the performance of the past couple of weeks in just a couple of hours. So it's just really kind of a matter of kind of just understanding that the fluctuations during this type of price action are going to happen. Just kind of sticking through it, right? Because it's not always going to be pretty. If you want that exponential growth and you want that exponential uptrend, then there are going to be some times of downside, just like with every market, right? With the S&P 500, the SPY, it's been progressively going up for since it's been created, right? But there's definitely those times where you have some downside to where a lot of people kind of freak out and they pull their money or whatever, and then the next couple of months, we're back at all-time highs, breaking all-time highs. So um
Yeah, agree
yeah,
with you completely.
yeah.
That's a very, very good couple of points you brought up. So my question, I guess, my next question, I'm sure there's a lot of people that are wondering, if you're looking at using this bot, and I talked about this on Monday, or this trading system, like how would you treat it? Because personally, like I would use it as a kind of long term investment, slowly build to it, like slowly add to it, and really treat it as like almost something like a 401k where I'm constantly just kind of like loading money into it, not a ton, but like slowly building it, letting the gains kind of like cushion myself overall, because we're seeing that over the last couple of years, this thing, and a lot of these things return almost 100% per year. You're looking at a almost a 10% average gain per month, especially over the last 5 years. So, like, how would you treat this? Would you treat it somewhat similar? Like, would you say, hey, man, maybe like some quarters I'm in it and some I'm not. It just depends. Or like, if I'm not trading, I use it. Like, what is your strategy, or like, what are you looking at overall?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think really a lot depends based on the person, right? The individual who's trading or using the bot. I mean, there's some people that have to be manually trading themselves, which is completely fine. Like let's just say they want to scalp trade or they want to do swing trades or something like that and be in, be out, like day trading type of style. But I agree with what you're saying. It is one of those things of like a longer term investment to where, it's going to be manually trading for you, right? So it's almost like it's going to just be executing while you don't have to be focused on the screens. Like you don't have to sit down and make the trades. You don't have to make, where the entries are, where the exits are. Like everything is based into copy trading for you. So it's like, fund it with however much money you want, 10K, 5K, 100K, $1 million, whatever. But just kind of like let it work for you, exactly like you were saying, like a 401k, and just kind of let it build. And again, it's kind of doing the work for you so you don't have to always be managing it, because I think that's where a lot of people have downside or fallouts when it comes to just trading in general. They don't have the ability to sit in front of a screen, like let's just say somebody's a lawyer or a doctor, or they have an office job or whatever, and they can't actually trade. Well, this is like a great opportunity for you to get involved with still, having something that's actively trading BTC and Ethereum, because correct me if I'm wrong, those are the two assets that it's going to be trading
Yeah,
for
those are the
us.
two assets that it'll be
Yeah,
trading.
so it's a matter of just, it doing the work for you without you having to sit there and do all of the time it takes to enter and exit a trade. And I've done, copy trading bots before, and I've done pretty well with them. I've done algorithms. I worked with a few different developers and doing a few different things. And so, like, for me, it's kind of just like adding another egg to your basket, right? Like if you actively trade, a $10,000 to $20,000 account, well, then you can maybe split that in half, have $10,000 working for you manually throughout the day, throughout the night, when you're sleeping, and then, have another portion of your portfolio to where you can actually trade it. So there's multiple different ways to do it. But I think, those people that just don't have the time to sit in front of the screen all day, this is like such a good alternative for you guys to still be involved in actively trading, BTC and Ethereum. Because in my opinion, the next coming years, 6, 7 months, I think that we're going to see not like a huge explosion across the market, but I think that, we will see some pretty good trading environments, right? So just kind of exactly like you said, treat it like a 401k, put money in it, let it be active, let it do the trading, let it do the trading for you.
Yeah, my other point I was going to bring up, like I am a terrible day trader. And to be honest, crypto is very, very difficult to day trade. You have all this fluctuation that happens. You have all these scam wicks and all this crazy, really just crazy action. So for me, as a swing trader, like I'm not placing that many trades per year. Now, when I am placing trades, they're larger of size. I'm holding them for longer. Usually there's a much larger profit available. And just to give you guys, I know a lot of my guys know this, but I'm trying to catch a lot of these bigger swings. And when we're in a period of sideways like we are now, there's not a lot of opportunities for me personally. So this is something that always keeps my capital working for me and kind of keeps me away from day trading. Because I'll be honest with you, like the best case scenario for me when I'm day trading is I break even, just because like it's not my strategy. Not that I don't know or couldn't figure it out, but it's not typically my strategy. And personally, I don't like looking at a chart all day to begin with. So I don't know. I just wanted to kind of lean into the trading bot a little bit, kind of roll through it for some of you guys. Again, I know we talked about it on Monday. But Castilla, like as long as you're okay with it, I wanted to get into some like macro market analysis. Kind of like right before the stream started, we were talking about how weird, this market cycle has been. Whether it be like you have Andrew Tate right now, like leaning into different meme coins and like he's being attacked, or like Iggy Azalea with this mother coin, or like basically we have all of these like meme coins going off, but there's no retail. Like if you were to tell me like this is the top, it wouldn't surprise me. Now, granted, I don't have all of the technical indications for that, but the activity, like the scamming, the celebrities getting involved, just like the little things that really signal top are happening, but there's no one in this market right now. Like people don't even know that Bitcoin's at 70K, which is kind of absurd to me.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Like we were saying, all the top indicators are there, but as far as, just like the normal, really the normal bullshit of celebrities getting in and all this stuff, but it really just seems like maybe the new money is kind of, or maybe the retail money is now flowing through the ETF, and things are technically a little bit different this cycle because of the ETF, in my opinion. I know, like, there's like that big saying of, it's things aren't going to always be different. Like, is it going to be different this cycle, whatever? But technically things are a little bit different with like BTC inflows and outflows because there's an ETF involved. Now, does that change the market cycle? Does it change the way that, the diminishing returns have started to happen over the years? Probably. But, at the end of the day, it just is a weird time to where, we're still sitting technically around all-time highs, but there hasn't been that like hype around everything. And to me, I tweeted this out the other day, or I posted it on X, and it was just like, I just think a lot of people missed the Bitcoin move in 2023, all the way up from 15K to 71K on, 74K, whatever the new all-time high is. So they've kind of like diversified into altcoins and meme coins and all this stuff, but
Mm.
really they haven't been performing the same. So I think people are trying to still make the returns that Bitcoin is happening, but really these altcoins have just been lagging. Ethereum has been lagging. Yes, there's been some good meme plays, but for the majority, I think the meme coin market is completely diluted. I think that there's the money is spread way too thin. You have all this money just sitting in these meme coins that aren't ever going to do anything. And so it's, when are those people going to capitulate, take those out and put them into, better utility projects like altcoins, like the ones that are listed on Coinbase, or, the ones that have been around longer? Because it just seems like utility and the Ethereum chain hasn't really had its big run or its big parade. It's all been Solana, it's all been meme coins, it's all just been this weird celebrity mother, daddy, these weird ass
Yeah,
memes
it's
that have
so
been printing
weird.
all the money.
Yeah, I remember seeing your tweet. Like, and it was a really good point because everyone kind of bought alts to kind of catch up, or they missed out on buying Bitcoin at 15K or 16 or 20K, whatever it was. I mean, really pre 30K, that was a huge
Yeah.
opportunity. And
Yeah.
I'm happy to say I was one of those people that kind of took advantage of. I started buying at 17.5. I'd basically dollar cost average for about a year and a half. Once we broke 25K, I stopped buying, and that was buying Bitcoin, Ethereum, different alts. Some of the AI coins I bought a little bit later because I wasn't as familiar with them. Like Tau, I bought in the $100 range, and some stuff like that. So most of my stuff is still up. Now it's taking a beating, and I really hope it continues to stay up and doesn't. Like Tau, for example, and I know I'm talking about it, but it's almost down 70%. From
Yeah.
highs. I'm still up like 120% on it, but it would be nice to see some type of recovery. And really, what I've been looking at is Bitcoin dominance and talking about like a slight liquidity shift from Bitcoin to some of these altcoins during the summer. And part of my thought process was it's going to be a slower summer. It's Q2. A lot of people go on vacations or college graduations, and it's just a historically slow period in the market. So I was like, oh, perfect time for alts like Ethereum and some of these AI coins, and different, not everything, but maybe something like Link. Like, I don't know if you remember in 2020, like Link went from $3 to like $20 during the
Yeah,
summer.
I was pretty dude, some of those altcoin runs in 2020 were pretty nuts.
And it was
Honestly,
like
like
pre bull market too. Like
yeah.
Link literally, and again, guys, like I know some of you weren't around during this period, but Link literally went crazy. Like you
Yeah.
had a massive opportunity to buy the COVID low, and if you didn't, that's okay. But we consolidated for weeks, and then we immediately went from 350 to $20, like instantly. Now, granted, that was like half of its total movement upwards, but it was enormous. And that was before Bitcoin even broke all-time highs. So I'm kind of hoping that July period, again, we're in June. Hopefully middle of July, we start to see the movement again. That's what we saw with Ethereum in 2020. And I don't like to compare historicals like super in depth because everything changes year to year. But usually like cycle time frame, we should start seeing alts kind of pick up the pace. Like especially if Bitcoin dominance is showing, in my opinion, like some weakness. Now, if Bitcoin dominance continues to go sideways, then it's not. But I don't know. I always wanted to know what your thought was. Like, what do you think of? Like, do you look at Bitcoin dominance, and what have you thought of Bitcoin dominance recently?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the same boat as you, right? To where in 2023 I did a lot of work, right? And I think I talk to my buddy Income Sharks about this all the time. When markets are boring and nobody wants to really look at them or trade them, that's when you should be focused the most. And 2023 was one of those years, kind of similar to what you were talking about with your altcoins. I was one of those ones that did the dollar cost averaging in 2023 to like SUI, SEI, Filecoin, GRT, A couple of those bigger names for me that jazz me. I've been holding for a while, and I'm still way in the profit on those. And so for me, like, I'm not technically worried on some of those spot plays just because we have seen some downside, but I do think that this is just one of those times of patience, right? Like,
Yeah.
patience is key when it comes to markets just in general, not only crypto markets, but trade fi markets and any forex markets. If you have patience in your holdings, if you buy spot and you're not worried about the day-to-day fluctuation, then I think like this is just one of those times that we just need to kind of sit on our hands a little bit. You can have a small account to kind of margin trade or leverage trade or whatever, but for those spot holdings that you were buying in 2023, I do think down the line those are going to be some pico lows that you still want to be holding into some higher moves. Now,
Yeah.
it does suck to give back the gains that we've previously had, because I think FIL was one of those ones that kind of like Tau for you, right? Filecoin, where I had some stupid low buys, stink bids in the threes, still in profit over 100%, and didn't take anything on the move up to $12, and now we've had close to a 50-60% retrace. So it sucks to see that, but also every cycle the altcoins do drop. Now, you can argue that a 50-60% is a huge shift in market, but if you look prior cycles, some of these altcoins did drop 50% before the actual big move happened. You were
Yeah.
talking about Link. Link, I think in August of 2020 had a 60% move to the downside before it shot up to $50.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
So I think that's similar to the time frame that we're in right now, to where some of these altcoins are taking a beating. Some people are going to get scared, they're going to FOMO out, and that's why I do say, and I talk to my traders about this all the time, like, patience within these markets, because that's going to be the key. Don't use high leverage, sit on some spots. I know the comfy in spot meme is kind of one of those things, but it's true. Like, if you're sitting in spot, you're pretty comfortable without putting on that risk on the day to day. So I just think, we're just in one of those patience time, right? And as far as BTC dominance goes, I don't look at it probably as much as I should. Just because I know you're pretty big on BTC dominance. I'm not the best on like BTC dominance or BTC Ethereum, those sort of things. They just trade a little differently than
They
normal
trade pretty
assets.
weird for sure.
Yeah, and I look at them. I think they're important to kind of like be aware of, but just looking at the BTC dominance chart, if I'm looking at it just based off pure technicals, I think that we're coming up to a resistance level, right? Like that 57%,
Yeah.
57.12 is a resistance level. So maybe it shifts to the downside from here. I don't really know. But as far as, previous cycles, like maybe it goes up a little bit more before it goes down, and Bitcoin has a run up to 100K or 70K or 80K. Or 80 or 90K before altcoins do any of their movement. But yeah, I just think we're just in a time of patience right now, man. It's like, it's hard to continue to tell people that, like, patience is key, but
Yeah.
it really is just get your entries. If you have really good entries, just make sure that
Just
you sit on
keep
them
'em.
and maximize that ROI.
Dude, and the biggest thing, like, if you're American, like both of us are American, like some of these entries, like your file entry, like not only is that a snipe of an entry, like you're basically at all-time lows. If you're holding over a year, you're in that, now you're paying less in taxes. Now the most you can
Exactly.
you're at long-term capital gain. So I keep, and I know some other countries have that as well, but one of the things I really harp on is if you're an American, which I know a lot of you guys are, and you have spot holdings and you have a good entry, even if you're up like 400 or 500%, like if you truly believe, like remember guys, we bought spot because we truly believe, like we bought the bear market lows. We're gonna hold until a bull market, whether it happens next year, whether it happens 5 years from now, no matter where it happens. I don't think we revisit 15K forever, to be honest with you, especially now
I
that the
agree.
ETF is kind of in play. So
100% agree with that.
if I own like 3 or 4 Bitcoin at between 15 and 20K, again, I don't know my average, but it was in that range between 25 and 15K. Anyways, if that's my entry, like I'm holding that into a bull run. Like I don't care if we go, if I take this chart and draw an infinite sideways line for the next 3 years, and then we bust upwards into 200K, that's fine. This is a long-term holding. I'm treating it as a long-term. Now, if it was a trade, like a swing trade, I'd treat that completely different. But this is a long-term investment. You have to look at it that way. And I had to not like go off, but I had to tell my guys, like, guys, you're in long-term spot holdings. Like, say that 3 times to yourself. Stop freaking out. Stop going, oh, well, I'm in profit. What if this happens? Well, what if it doesn't happen?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like everyone's like, well, what if this and what if that? Like, dude, you need to take a deep breath and accept that no matter what happens, what is your original plan, and stick to it. Because, I mean, even if you look at like 2020, like 2018 to 2020, let's say you bought a bunch of Bitcoin at 6,000. Right? Or, excuse me, I highlighted it wrong. Let's say you bought a bunch of like 6K, and then the COVID crash happened, and we went back to 3K. Okay, you're down a decent bit, but if your original plan was, hey, I'm buying spot and holding spot because I believe at some point we're going to have a bull run, or I believe in Bitcoin, then you continue to hold it. That's what your plan was. Now, if you absolutely need that money to like pay a mortgage or something, like, yeah, sell it and pay your mortgage so you can continue to live or get food or whatever. But I don't know. The biggest thing for me is have your plan and stick to it. And there's no shame in having multiple investment strategies. Like, you can have some spot that you hold, like I do, and then you have some that you trade with, and that's not a problem. The problem is when you start confusing the two, and Castillo, you have spot as well, so you get this, just like I do. But if you have spot, stick to that plan for your spot. Just because you have maybe, let's say I'm in a short right now. I'm not personally, but let's say I'm in a short. That doesn't mean I'm selling my spot that I bought at 15K. Like, that would be absurd. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think it's just, it comes down to the person trading and their game plan, like you were saying. Because even, just for an example, I like to tell people this. I tell my guys this too. Back in 2019 and 2020, bought Ethereum, around the $120 range, right? Like, I put a really big amount of money into Ethereum at 120 range. And for some of that, I did take some profits, but I also round tripped a shitload of that, right? Like, I wasn't selling at, 4,700. I'm still holding some of those entries on Ethereum to this day. And I went through the crash in 2022 of, about 5,000 all the way back down to 1,000, right? So that's like an example I use of like long-term holding, because my plan is always to hold that Ethereum because I believe in Ethereum. I believe in on-chain. I believe in crypto in general. So, a lot of people can sometimes, try and give me shit for, kind of round tripping that trade because, when you buy Ethereum, in the $100 range and you round trip it when it's up, close to 5K, that wasn't like my plan. My plan wasn't to sell it at 5K. That's over 2,500% on that trade. My plan is still to hold that through majority of why I'm still here. I'm still here because I believe in blockchain. I'm still here because I believe in crypto, that it can be the future of finance, that it can be the future of, the way that the world actually does work within blockchain in general. I think, for me, it's kind of like I always say a 5 to 10 year plan. Like, we'll see how things look in 5 to 6 years on your spot buys. So, there are times where it's like, yeah, I'm still holding buys on Ethereum from the $120, $150 range to this day. And so I always use that as like a little example. I'm a believer in the industry. I'm a believer in crypto just in general. And I do plan on still holding that Ethereum. There's no point for me to sell it when, like you said, long-term capital gains. That's the point, to kind of sit on it, have it gain over time. If you're a believer in the industry, then you can believe in your positions. And that's just where that conviction comes in, right? Your conviction for the trade. I think of it as, the S&P or even NVIDIA, right? The people that bought NVIDIA 3-4 years ago are up thousands of percent, right? So it's just that's kind of my or Tesla too, so that's kind of the way that I'm treating it. It's hard to talk about because I think some people will say that it's like you're almost a bad trader for not taking profits at 5K, but nobody, it's such a hindsight thing, right?
Yeah, it always
Nobody
is.
fucking knows. Like back when Bitcoin was hovering around 4,800, people were calling for 6, 7, 8, 10K at that time. And I didn't think that those targets were out of the question at some point, right? Now, did I think, a retrace to 1,000 was going to happen? No, I didn't think that that was going to happen at the time, but it happened. I held through it. I'm still holding through it. And I still think Ethereum can go higher over time.
Yeah, I'm with you. So I wanted to get into my next topic. So we had a Fed FOMC meeting today. So I've been talking interest rates, and usually, I don't want to say usually, but I think the last two recessions, and I've had this kind of debate with myself, and I have it sorted now, but what happens when rates are cut? Does the market dump, or do we continue moving higher? And the reason why I ask is in 2008, immediately after rates started to be cut, we started that market decline. Now the question is, was it the rate decision, or were rates being cut due to external factors? And to my belief, I think it was the external factors. Between all of the financial issues and debt issues in 2008, the Fed had to cut in order to fix the economy and give people another chance, personally. So if we get cut now, I'm of the opinion that I see the markets continuing higher. I think it gives more business opportunity for economic expansion. If you think of very simply the example I gave, let's say I'm a t-shirt manufacturer, right? And I have one machine that can print, 5,000 t-shirts a day. Well, if interest rates go lower, I could say, hey, man, what if I get a bunch of demand and I need to print 10,000 a day? Now I can take a bank loan, buy a new machine, right, and double my output and double my double everything, basically make more money. But if interest rates are really high like they are now, I might not do that because the risk to reward on that loan is too high for me at the moment. So for me, business expansion happens when rates are low and money is easy to borrow. But I just wanted to, hear your opinion on it. I'm sure some of these guys want to hear about it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think interest rates are kind of like one of those things to where, I have always kind of thought that rates aren't going to get cut. And the reason being that I don't think that they're going to get cut is because I think people have been so used to such low rates previously. I just ended up, buying a house recently, and really where we're sitting with interest rates is kind of normal, right?
Yeah.
It's actually, it's more normal in history than what people think. People will sit here and say that interest rates are super high, but they're actually kind of getting back to that median area.
Yep.
We were just we were just so used to those low 2-3% rates. I think people sometimes forget that right now is kind of like one of those normal times. So I've kind of always said I don't think rates are going to get cut the way that people want them to. Now, does that mean that rates aren't going to ever get cut? No. I mean, there could be a time where they pause them or they cut them some, but I have kind of piggyback Scott Milker on this a little bit to where I think interest rates still just go higher. Not insanely higher, but I just don't think they're going to be cut the way that people want them to be cut because like I said, we're kind of sitting in a normal area for interest rates.
Yeah, no, I've actually said that as well. The current level, I believe in the last, what was it like? Well, not in the last, but what was it? 20 years ago, we were at 15, 16% interest.
Yeah.
Which is pretty nuts to think about. And now we're at 7 complaining. It's the trend has been down. I mean, I don't know how people look at trend on this, but the trend for interest rates has been down forever.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I'm looking at the chart now, and the 21 to 22 area when it was 2 to 3%, those interest rates were all-time lows.
Yeah, I know.
So, we're in an area that, in 2020, 2021, 2019, this is, kind of like a median area, if you will, for interest rates. And yeah, like you said, in 1981, interest rates were at 17%. So do I think that they go that high again? I don't think they go that high again. I mean, I could be completely wrong, but I just don't think that we're ever going to see interest rates at 2, 3, or even 4% again anytime soon.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be nice to get that, but I also know that there's actually, a lot of people believe there's going to be a housing market crash, and I actually don't believe so because there's 6 million there's a 6 million demand for homes. Like,
I
so
don't
even
I don't think so either.
yeah, it's well, you can't have a crash if people are waiting to buy. Like, there's literally people on wait lists trying to buy homes. Like, as soon as a
Yep.
home goes up for sale, it's bought. And that's part of the reason why homes are increasing in value so much.
Mm-hmm.
But aside from
And that's
that,
why, and dude, honestly, I just did this. I just bought a house in Vegas. It's a new build project. It's going up now, should be in by the end of the year. But I just kind of went through this, and I had kind of talked to some people that were involved with real estate for a long time. And, their biggest thing that they told me was don't wait. That was the thing. Like, if you want to buy a house, because there's been people that have been sidelined waiting to buy a house for years, and I just don't think that they're gonna be comfortable. And look, I get it, right? Like, these interest rates aren't cheap. There's some people that like literally can't afford a house with how high interest rates are. So
yeah,
I get that, right? On wanting price to go lower so that you can afford the house that you want, or I'm blessed enough, I'm fortunate enough to be able to afford these interest rates. So it didn't really like bother me. But that was just, what a lot of people told me in the real estate market was, don't wait. The sooner you buy a house, probably the better. So I have kind of been leaning towards that. I don't think interest rates are going to get cut. So, we ended up locking in our interest rate already, and, I'm happy with where we locked it in at. And, it kind of just is what it is.
that's awesome. Yeah, I'm likely going through the housing process within the next year or two, and I'm excited, but I'm also not that excited because I know I'm gonna want something really nice, and it's gonna be expensive as shit, and probably back in Tampa, Florida. So it's gonna, I mean, it's for me, it's like if I'm gonna live there, I want it to be nice. If I'm gonna pay for it, I want it to be nice. But
Yeah.
yeah, it'd be a lot easier if it was like 3 years ago and we had like 1.5% interest or whatever. That would have been like I have one of my best friends. His house is locked in at like 3.6% or whatever. Like he has a pretty nice house. They live in Charleston, South Carolina, and it's just absurd. Like he pays like his house is so nice, and his mortgage is like nothing. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
absolutely
And those, I
crazy.
mean, and to be honest, like I always look at those people as like the people that just got lucky and bought the bottom of
Yeah,
Nvidia, or they just got lucky and bought the bottom of Tesla, right? It's not like they were doing anything to outsmart
no,
anybody. It was just the right place at the right time. Like even our condo that we live in now, unfortunately, we have to sell it. But there's a couple of reasons why I'm selling it. I won't go into it. I just don't want the headache of having property outside of where I'm currently living.
yeah, it makes
But
sense.
but we have an interest rate that's locked in at a pretty ridiculous rate too. So it does suck. It kind of is what it is. But I think 4, 5, 6, 7 years down the line, it's gonna be the right move. And if interest rates ever do drop again, you can always refinance, right? Like
Yep.
it's not end all be all with the interest rates. Make sure that you are getting a loan or whatever through somebody that lets you do free refis. There's a lot of different ways that these mortgage companies can work with you. And so, I just think that, I just don't think that interest rates are going to drop to where they were, 2020 and 2021. It's just the people that bought in that time, they just got really fucking lucky.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. So, the last kind of point that I wanted to talk about. So, are you excited for Crypto Fight Night? I know you're going in London.
Yeah, man, I am. I fucking fly out tomorrow morning. Yeah, man, I'm stoked. This is my second crypto fight night event, and I went to the. I was. It's kind of funny. The first one I went to was in Dubai, 2022, when the FTX collapse happened. Right, so like I was landing in Dubai with all these crypto guys who were down millions of dollars
Wait, so
because
that
of.
that crash like happened while you were flying?
Dude,
Or
yeah, like I literally,
holy shit!
yeah, I had landed and markets were already pretty teetering when I was taking off, but basically everything happened right before um I landed on the ground in Dubai. And I know there's a couple people like Trader Main, same thing happened to him where he landed and things just kind of went to shit. And again, it's just kind of like I was super lucky and I didn't have any money
Yeah,
really tied into FTX. I
dude,
had some
that's
money on
so
FTX
crazy.
US,
You just
but it
you get off the plane and find out that you were worth millions and now you're worth zero. That would be
it,
absurd.
it's I mean it was crazy, man. So I was meeting a lot of these big time influencers and like they were completely devastated by the crash, you know? So it's like
Yeah,
it wasn't the
yeah,
best fight night to be at because spirits were down a little bit. Like a lot of people weren't that happy. A lot of people were pretty, pretty down in the dumps because they lost six figures, seven figures, or they lost their entire portfolio, like you were saying. So I'm
yeah.
I'm really hoping that this one is a little bit different of an experience, but they're fun, man. I mean, the fight is awesome. BitBoy is headlining this
That's
one
right.
against Chris.
That's
Yeah,
right.
against Chris, I think Chris Smick and Chris Smick was the one that fought Crypto Cousin at last event, and Crypto Cousin ended up winning that. So, I'm excited to see BitBoy fight. I watched him fight in Karate Combat. I think BitBoy's a hilarious character for the industry. He cracks me up. Everything with, his story has gone pretty viral about him losing his Lambo, him and his wife getting a divorce, him having a mistress. Like it's just a funny fucking story to be following. Now, if you're someone living that, it's probably pretty shitty. So I
Yeah.
hope the best for him. But I still think that it's just a good little fight to go out to London and see.
Yeah, dude, I'm with that. Yeah, I need to make the next one. I know Ken invited me, and I really wanted to go, but I have something I like literally cannot miss on Saturday, and then but if the next one I'm in like that, or Karate Combat, that'd be fun. Like we could, knowing Ken, he'd probably get us some pretty good seats and stuff for Karate Combat. But the Crypto Fight Night would be fun as well. I haven't been to any
Yeah.
of those events, so I don't even know what to expect. I've seen them, like I've seen the YouTube clips. I was actually going to fight in Dubai. A lot of my guys know I've been boxing for a very long time, and still do here and there. But yeah, Ken asked if I'd fight Trading Lord, like in Dubai. What was that, like 6 months ago? And
Yeah, yeah.
so long story short, and this isn't like a shot against him, but so I currently weigh 170. I think Trading Lord wanted to fight at 145, and I was like, I physically just can't do that. Like I could, but I
It's
don't.
a hard
I don't.
cut.
That's a fucking hard. Like I'm already pretty lean as it is. Like I was like, I'll do 155, and then they didn't want to do 155, and I'm like, I can't do 145, and then it just didn't happen, which is unfortunate because that could have been really fun.
Yeah.
But I'm sure Ken keeps trying to get me to do all this stuff, so I'm sure at some point I will. But no, I mean, hopefully yeah, that would be fun to fight in. I
Yeah,
actually
man.
I actually have a fight in August. It'll be live streamed. I'll post it if anyone wants to watch it. It's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It won't be boxing though. But
Okay, okay. Yeah, I'll definitely tune in for that, man. I've been really on a mixed martial arts and boxing kick since really COVID happened. When UFC was still really the only sport that was running at the time. I really
yeah,
turned into a huge fight UFC guy.
really.
And shout out to Coincatch, man, for sponsoring this crypto fight night event. I hope that they continue to sponsor the events. In the future, Singapore coming up in September, and then Dubai again in December. They're having more crypto fight night events. So shout out to Coincatch, man, because they're putting some money up to kind of get their name out there. And I've always liked Coincatch. I think it's a great exchange. I think it's a little bit more low key of an exchange to where it's kind of like running under the radar a little bit, but it's got great liquidity. It's got great pairings. The customer service, gets back to you pretty quickly and that sort of stuff. But I think these events are awesome, man. So I'd love to go and watch you fight at one of them. I mean, I
Dude,
think
that'd be
there's a lot of
crazy.
belts up for grabs too, man. Like I don't know if
Uh,
you're a heavyweight, but one of my good friends, Eric Grimace, over on Twitter, he just won the heavyweight title. So I don't know what weight you're at or what he's at, but he ended up just beating another guy over in Dubai this last event too. So these events are fun, man. I think that getting people together, getting crypto guys together, it's just such a fucking good time going and shooting the shit with people that are involved with crypto. Because for me, it's hard to be involved with people with crypto with where I live, right? Like
yeah.
I still think that retail and people outside of the space think that cryptocurrency is a scam, think that if you're using it that you're trying to evade taxes or whatever. So it's nice to get into a place with people that all feel the same about the industry.
Yeah, and plus you get to meet some of these people like you and I haven't met in person, and this one of these events, like that's a good place for us to meet, especially like Ken as well, and just like anybody. I mean, you could just run into someone that like you look at their analysis on Twitter and they're at the event, it's like bam, now you can put a face to a name, or like I guess a profile for X. But yeah, no, it's I'm kind of jealous you're going. It sucks I can't go, but
Next one,
sounds like you're gonna have a great time, dude. Really
Yeah,
excited
man.
for
Yeah,
you.
man. Definitely. We'll get together at one of them for sure. I mean, absolutely. We need to do it because they're a good time.
Yeah, dude. Well, that's pretty much all I've got for this stream today, guys. Castilla, thanks for coming on. I know you're super busy, and thank you for making time today. Really appreciate your thoughts and everything, talking about the bot we're kind of implementing and some of our ideas. But thank you so much, man. I hope you have a safe flight to London.
Appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me, and appreciate you doing what you're doing for the community. It's always good to find like-minded traders that are working hard.
All right, dude. Well, thanks again, and I hope you have a safe flight. And for all of you guys,